It's just past dawn and it feels very much like the beginning of autumn here in Scotland, but we've got lots to prepare for our guests today. Preparing for the day is always a very important part of a butler's regime. You have to be up, of course, before the guests. Now, sometimes it's quite difficult to predict when the guests are going to wake up. It depends on the people. Some people are like clockwork. They always get up at the same time. Other people, they like to sleep in. So for me, I need to be up on this nice early, pretty chilly morning. I don't know if you can see my breath even inside the car, to make sure that I have everything ready for them when they get up. Now, I'm very lucky on this estate that I'm working on today. There's a big team of staff that I'm working with. Housekeepers, chefs, footmen, butlers. It's a big team, so it's not just on my shoulders. But as the butler, of course, it is always on your shoulders. I thought today might be actually a quite perfect opportunity to tell you a little bit more about what I do when I'm looking after guests who are staying in Scotland. Sometimes you think to yourself, this is just the perfect location. Now, the problem with me is doing this job, I can't share a huge amount with you about where I am, who I'm looking after, things like that. But one wonderful thing that I can share is the beauty of the Scottish countryside. And that's what people come from around the world to see. So I'm blessed to be working with Duncan today. Duncan is a veteran butler for within our ranks. When did you first start as a butler, Duncan?
Over 40 years ago.
40 years ago, over 40 years ago. You lost an opportunity to make yourself seem younger then, you realise that?
I don't mind admitting.
Yeah, so Duncan's fresh out of college.
Admit my experience.
And I think everyone would be quite interested to hear who you worked for at the beginning of your career.
Oh, was it John Smith? No, I trained in the Clarence House for the Queen Mother before King Charles moved into it, a long time before. So that was where I first experienced butlering. So for those of you who are not, probably don't, to be honest, half of the people who watch my channel don't even remember the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother was obviously quite literally the Queen's mother, as in Queen Elizabeth II's mother, who was given the title of Queen Mother. That didn't exist as a title before her, did it? I don't think. There was no title for it because her husband died in his 40s. She couldn't remain as Queen. So Queen Elizabeth II took the throne and they had to make up a title for her. So that's the title they came up with, was Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother.
And I feel that it was what the nation thought of her. She was like a sort of mother to everyone, wasn't she, in a way?
She certainly became that, yeah, as she aged, 60s, 70s, 80s. She lived till 102.
That must have been due to your wonderful service.
Well, it started off. The preservatives, we added preservatives to
yeah, a nice bit of
gin.
A nice bit of gin keeps anyone healthy. That's not medical advice, don't complain. I'm not saying gin keeps you healthy as medical advice. Although, as we've seen, if you drink enough of it, you live to 102. Duncan and I need to jump into separate cars now and take our guests on a wonderful tour of the Scottish Highlands. So I've just taken the clients to this beautiful Fonab Castle. So it's a really lovely place for a nice lunch and a good excuse for me to have a spot of something myself, because I must admit I'm getting a bit hungry. Another essential stop for most of my guests when they're visiting Scotland is House of Bruar. Now, House of Bruar is often described as being the sort of Harrods of Scotland, but to be honest, I think that's maybe doing a little bit of a disservice to House of Bruar, because it's a lot more interesting than that. They're almost certainly most famous for their country clothing. If you want to pick up some tweeds or a Barber jacket or something along those lines. But they also have an amazing array of other goods, including a famous locally anyway, fish and chip shop that serves lobster, fresh fruit and vegetables, and pretty much everything else you can think of for your stay in Scotland. But of course, speaking of my stay in Scotland, I'd better try pretty hard to draw the guests away from this so we can travel just a short distance up the road to the amazing Blair Castle in Blair Athol. Blair Castle is without doubt one of the most amazing architectural and historical gems in Scotland. I always recommend a visit here if it works with the touring times of our guests. It's such an incredible piece of Scottish history, and you always know that they're gonna just love a private tour. I'll be honest with you, I've done a few of them now myself, and it's absolutely brilliant. I must say, I especially like looking at the dining room because the way that they've laid the table and the way that they describe the service from the butlers is practically unchanged from what we do today. And it gives me such pride to be a part of that history. The guests that I'm looking after today are absolutely wonderful, and I cherish every moment looking after them. And we're finishing our day taking them out to a really wonderful new restaurant, which is very exciting and is getting rave reviews in Canusie. It's called The Crossing. I hope you try it soon. If you enjoyed this video, please think about subscribing to the channel because there'll be lots more to come. Thanks.